You've probably felt it before, that quiet inner voice, barely a whisper, speaking up when everything around you is loud and chaotic. It's a voice that tells you to pause before making a hasty decision, the one that nudges you toward what feels right, even when it doesn't make sense on paper. It doesn't scream for attention, it waits, calmly, patiently, like someone who knows they'll be heard when the time is right. And often, in the darkest moments, that voice becomes clearer, like a light flickering on in a pitch-black room. Stories and myths across centuries have portrayed figures of deep wisdom, elders who carry knowledge not found in textbooks or social media feeds. They show up at the hero's lowest point, just when all seems lost. But these figures aren't limited to ancient tales of fantasy worlds. What if they represent something much closer to home, something alive within us? In a world that demands instant answers, quick fixes, and louder opinions, this inner presence is often ignored. We're taught to look outside ourselves for advice, validation, even identity. But deep within, there's a guide far older and wiser than the noise. A part of you that has always known the truth. You don't have to wander the world searching for clarity. It's been quietly waiting inside you all along. The question is, are you ready to listen? Are you willing to slow down, strip away the distractions, and reconnect with the forgotten source of wisdom that's been buried under fear, doubt, and endless busyness? Because sometimes the greatest guidance doesn't come from the outside world. It comes from rediscovering the part of yourself that already knows the way. Throughout history and across cultures, stories have featured an archetype that remains remarkably consistent. A wise elder figure who offers guidance, insight, and clarity when all seems lost. This character shows up in myths, folklore, religion, and even in modern films and books, whether portrayed as a mystical hermit, a gentle grandfather, a wandering sage, or a quiet guardian. This figure doesn't just offer advice, they embody a deep, almost otherworldly understanding of life, truth, and the human spirit. What makes them so compelling is not just their knowledge, but the way they make others feel seen, understood, and empowered to face their challenges. This archetype reflects something more than fiction. It touches on a universal longing we all experience. The need for direction and assurance when we are confused, lost, or at a crossroads. In the fast-paced modern world, people often feel disconnected from their inner compass. The more we rely on external sources, social media, trends, or even the opinions of others, the further we drift from that internal sense of wisdom that intuitively knows what's right for us. There are moments in life when intellect fails to provide comfort and logic doesn't have the answers we seek. In those times, we crave a deeper form of guidance, one that resonates not just with our minds but with our souls. This is where the inner sage begins to awaken. It isn't always loud or obvious. Sometimes it appears in moments of silence, solitude, or reflection, when the noise fades and we are left alone with ourselves. It might emerge through dreams, a gut feeling, or a sudden moment of clarity. This inner wisdom is not something we have to earn or achieve. It's always been part of us. The challenge lies in accessing it, trusting it, and giving it space to speak. Tuning into this inner guide requires courage, patience, and a willingness to slow down and listen. And when we do, we begin to discover a wellspring of truth that offers not only direction, but also a sense of peace, purpose, and empowerment in our daily life. In today's world, people are surrounded by an overwhelming amount of information, opinions, and noise. We live in a time where decisions are often made in haste, guided by fear of missing out, external pressure, or the relentless pursuit of productivity. With so much happening around us, it's easy to lose touch with our inner sense of direction. Many individuals find themselves feeling confused, unfulfilled, or disconnected, unsure of which path to take or how to make meaningful choices. Despite all the technological advancements and instant access to answers, there remains a deep sense of uncertainty and restlessness within. The modern pace of life rarely allows room for introspection. We move from one task to another, always chasing the next goal, the next milestone, or the next expectation placed upon us. In the midst of this race, we often ignore the subtle inner voice that seeks to guide us, not with noise, but with quiet understanding. This voice doesn't compete with the outside world. Instead, it waits to be noticed. Yet most of us are never taught how to tune in or recognize its presence. We are conditioned to depend on others for validation, to follow popular opinions, and to mistrust anything that cannot be proven or explained logically. As a result, many find themselves caught in cycles of doubt and indecision. They struggle with anxiety about the future, confusion over their purpose, and a lack of clarity about who they truly are. It's not that they lack intelligence or ambition, it's that they are disconnected from the internal guide that could help them navigate their paths with confidence and authenticity. This disconnection creates a gap between who we are and who we are meant to become. The real challenge is not the absence of knowledge or opportunity, but the absence of connection to the deeper self that carries wisdom. In this noisy, demanding world, the most profound difficulty lies in creating space to hear and trust that deeper wisdom. Without it, people drift, making choices that may look successful on the outside but feel empty on the inside. Reclaiming that inner guidance is not only necessary, it's essential for a life rooted in clarity, meaning, and true direction. The search for inner guidance begins with a shift in focus from the outside world to the inner world. It requires stepping away from the constant noise, slowing down the pace, and turning inward with intention. This process isn't always easy, especially when life has trained us to look outward for answers. Yet within each person lies a quiet source of wisdom that speaks not in urgency but in clarity. Tapping into this deeper self means learning to listen in new ways, through stillness, reflection, and the subtle language of intuition. There are many paths to access this inner guide. Some people find it through solitude, where silence becomes a teacher. Others discover it in journaling, as thoughts and emotions spill out and reveal hidden truth. For some, it surfaces in meditation, dreams, or those unexpected moments of insight that seem to come from nowhere. Regardless of the method, the key is making space for it to emerge, not forcing it, but allowing it. This inner guide doesn't dominate or demand. Instead, it invites, offering gentle nudges and quiet confirmations that align with our most authentic selves. One of the challenges in this journey is learning to distinguish this guidance from the voices of fear, ego, or past conditioning. Fear is loud and insistent, pushing us toward comfort and control. Ego wants recognition and validation, but inner wisdom is calm, grounded, and often uncomfortable, because it pushes us toward truth, growth, and integrity. The more we practice discerning these voices, the more clearly we can hear the one that truly serves us. This inner figure of wisdom doesn't just offer advice. It reflects the parts of ourselves that have already walked through challenges and come out stronger. It draws on experience, emotion, and a deep understanding of who we are beneath our roles and masks. Developing a relationship with this part of ourselves is like cultivating a friendship. It grows stronger the more we engage with it. By honoring this internal connection, we begin to make choices that align not just with logic, but with meaning. We move through life with greater confidence, not because we have all the answers, but because we trust the voice that walks beside us, offering guidance from within. There often comes a moment when life pushes us to the edge, when the plans we've made fall apart, when certainty slips through our fingers and the path ahead becomes foggy. In that vulnerable space, we may feel completely alone, unsure of which direction to take. Panic sets in, and the urge to seek quick answers grows stronger. But amid that emotional storm, something unexpected can happen. In the silence that follows exhaustion, in the stillness after the struggle, a voice emerges. It doesn't come with noise or drama, it comes with peace, and it feels familiar, like something we've always known but had forgotten. That moment is the turning point. Instead of running outward for answers, we finally turn inward. And there, in that quiet space, we hear a message that speaks directly to the heart. It might be just a sentence, an image, or a feeling, but it resonates with absolute clarity. It tells us the truth we already sensed, but didn't trust. It cuts through the confusion, not by giving us a detailed map, but by offering direction. That clarity doesn't come from analysis or external input. It comes from a place deeper than thought. This realization is powerful. It's the recognition that the guidance we longed for was never missing. It was always present, waiting patiently beneath the layers of fear, self-doubt, and distraction. We realize that we don't need to constantly seek advice from others, chase every opportunity, or fear uncertainty. There is a compass within us that can guide us, not to what is easiest, but to what is right. The shift is undeniable. Once this connection is made, it changes everything. Decision-making becomes more grounded. Challenges feel less overwhelming. Even setbacks begin to feel purposeful. This inner guidance doesn't promise a smooth path, but it does promise a meaningful one. And in this moment of recognition, we reclaim a part of ourselves that is strong, wise, and enduring. It's a reunion with the deepest part of who we are, and from that moment forward, we walk differently, not with arrogance, but with assurance, knowing that we are never truly without guidance again. As we journey through life, it becomes clear that external success and recognition can only take us so far. Without a connection to something deeper, we often feel like we're wandering, busy but not fulfilled, active but not aligned. The deeper truth is that real direction comes not from the outside world, but from within. There is a presence inside each of us that holds wisdom beyond our years. It is not shaped by trends or driven by fear. Instead, it remains constant, waiting for us to slow down, listen, and trust it. Then, throughout our challenges, doubts, and crossroads, this inner guide never disappears. We may drift away from it, ignore it, or forget its existence, but it patiently remains a quiet observer of our journey. And when we finally turn inward, when we allow ourselves space to reflect and be still, This inner wisdom becomes our most reliable compass. It doesn't scream or force, it gently reminds us of who we are, what we value, and what truly matters. Living in alignment with this inner voice transforms the way we experience the world. We begin to make choices that reflect our true values, not just the expectations placed on us. We find the courage to say no when something doesn't feel right, and the clarity to say yes when it does, even if the path ahead is uncertain. This relationship with our inner wisdom is not a destination. It's a lifelong process of constant unfolding of trust and self-discovery. Reconnecting with this part of ourselves doesn't require a dramatic transformation. It begins with small steps, moments of quiet, honest reflection, and a willingness to be guided by something deeper than logic or habit. In doing so, we start to live with more peace, more purpose, and more authenticity. Ultimately, the most valuable guide we will ever have is not someone outside of us, but the voice within that has known us all along. When we honor that voice, we don't just find direction, we find ourselves. And in a world that often pulls us away from our center, staying connected to that truth becomes one of the most powerful things we can do. Now is the time to pause, to turn away from the noise and the pressure, and to begin listening to the voice within. You don't need to wait for a crisis or a dramatic turning point to access your inner wisdom. It's already there, ready to guide you, if only you make space for it. Begin today by creating intentional moments of silence. No screens, no distractions, just you and your breath. In these quiet spaces, pay attention to the thoughts and feelings that rise. Don't judge them or rush to conclusions. Just notice. You might be surprised by the clarity that emerges when you finally allow your inner self to speak. Start a daily practice of journaling, even for just a few minutes. Ask yourself questions you've been avoiding. What do I truly want? What am I afraid to admit? What decision feels right, even if it's not easy? Let the answers come naturally, without pressure. This practice isn't about getting it perfect. It's about learning to trust the process and your own voice. If you feel disconnected or unsure, seek environments that support stillness and self-reflection. Spend time in nature, meditate, or read stories that inspire inner growth. Surround yourself with people who encourage honesty and depth. These small shifts can create the conditions needed for your inner guide to emerge more clearly. Most importantly, act on what you hear. Don't dismiss your intuition. Test it. Try following it in small ways and observe what unfolds. The more you respond to your inner wisdom, the stronger it becomes. This isn't about having all the answers. It's about cultivating a deep relationship with the one source of guidance that will never leave you, yourself. You are not lost. You are not without direction. You simply need to remember how to listen. Begin now. Make space. Trust what you hear, and allow the journey toward greater clarity, confidence, and purpose to begin. Guided not by the chaos around you, but by the quiet truth within.